Welcome to another live edition of the New York Double Play Podcast, a James Nolan podcast hosted by none other than me. So let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about today. The Yankees capped off a nice 4-3 victory thanks to Aaron Judge going 3 for 3. Aaron Judge is hitting 409 on the year. I just wanted to point that out before I said anything else. So we got a lot of Yankees to talk about. They, along with the New York Mets, both have an 11-7 record. Yankees first place in the AL East, Mets first place in the NL East. Although the Yankees, they're starting to gain momentum, whereas the Mets, a 3-3 road trip, not bad, not terrible, but also not something that we should have seen considering the teams we played. You know, we played the Minnesota Twins. They didn't throw any bona fide ace. They didn't have a bona fide stud on the mound, and the Mets offense couldn't do much outside of one game. But these past two games for the Mets have been tough to watch. Juan Soto, even though he went back-to-back in the first two games of this series, back-to-back games with a home run, outside of those home runs, Juan Soto really hasn't done much. So we're going to talk about Juan Soto. We're going to talk about Aaron Judge's spectacular season. And we're also going to talk about some injury updates. The Mets, we got Jeff McNeil in his rehab assignment, getting some reps in center field with Jose Siri heading to the IL with a fractured tibia. So he'll probably be out, I would estimate, at least 2 months, maybe even more. We got Francisco Alvarez, who had a little bit of a scare yesterday, got hit by a pitch in his rehab assignment in Double-A for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. He got hit in the same exact hand that he had a fractured hamate bone to, but all is well with him. He went 1 for 4 today after hitting a home run yesterday, and he catched all 9 innings. So we got some Mets updates, specifically those three to talk about. I want to talk about Luis Acuna and Brett Baty, who are probably going to remain on the roster with Jose Siri out. And I don't want to give up on Brett Baty just yet, so I'll talk about that. And Acuna putting together major league at-bats. He actually has the third highest batting average on the Mets, so we're going to talk about Luis Acuna, his great start to the year. And then the Yankees, their starting rotation at first didn't look promising, but with Clark Schmidt back, he gave them some good innings today. He kept them in a position to win. Will Warren pitched another good game, not a great game, but a good game. And again, you don't want to expect Will Warren to be a number 1 or a number 2. Let's be real. He's their number 4 starter right now. And if you're getting those types of performances out of Will Warren as your number 4, that's pretty good, even though he's kind of pitching like their number 2 right now. But then again, he was brought up to be a number 4 this year, and he's pitching like a number 4, and he's pitching actually better than a number 4. So yeah, let's get right into it. Headline of the show today is Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. So let's start off with the bad. Juan Soto is going to go into Citi Field tomorrow, and on the scoreboard, you always see the big batting average. You see the batting average, you see the OPS sometimes. Let's take a look at the numbers we're going to see as Mets fans tomorrow for Juan Soto up on the scoreboard. He is going to see, Mets fans will see a 231 batting average up there for Juan Soto. They will see a 367 on-base percentage, which isn't bad, but Juan Soto's a guy going into this year at a career 421 on-base percentage, so it's low for him. And a 431 slugging percentage, which, like the batting average, isn't bad. I mean, like the on-base percentage isn't bad, but then again, it's not something that Juan Soto does. You know, Juan Soto's numbers should be a lot better right now. I'm not worried about Juan Soto. I don't think he's going to have a bad year whatsoever. It is a, 18 game stretch, 18 games in. Him hitting 231 is not fun. But then again, players have slumps, right? They have slumps. The one thing that sucks is it's to start the year. It's to start the year. Because when he was with the New York Yankees last year, he had a bad slump in July and he had a bad slump in September. Nobody really panicked. Nobody really cared about it because it was in July and September and his numbers were still great. The thing that sucks about starting off slow, starting off in a slump like he is right now, is his numbers look terrible. So it makes it even worse. And what makes it even worse, like even worse than what I just said, is he just signed a $765 million contract. And I'm not going to sit here and complain about the money. The money is money, right? It's not my money. It's not your money. It's not any Met fans' money. Who cares about the money? The only one who cares about the money are Yankee fans. And Yankees also offered him $760 million. So I don't want to hear that he wasn't worth the money. He was worth the money. You had to give him that type of deal. You had to get him here. And he will change this landscape of this Mets lineup. And that's also the best part about him slumping right now is Juan Soto's ice cold right now. And the Mets are still first place in the NL East. The Mets are still 11-7 without Juan Soto being Juan Soto. Also without Mark Vientos being Mark Vientos, who got the day off today. Brandon Nimmo, I am a little bit concerned about. We're going to talk about him too. Starting to get concerned for Nimmo because his second half last year was absolutely terrible. So far to start the year, it's been absolutely terrible. So we can be alarmed by Brandon Nimmo, but nobody should be alarmed about Juan Soto. You can criticize him. You can be disappointed with the start he's had to this year, 100%. But I don't think anybody should be complaining about Juan Soto and his contract and the fact that he, didn't come through. Like, yeah, it sucked. He didn't come through with the bases loaded and with one out today when the Mets had an opportunity to really do something there because, you have that $765 million guy. You have the guy who puts up MVP caliber numbers year in and year out with the bases loaded. And it's Juan Soto. You expect him to come through. And really, I didn't even care if he came through or not. All I really wanted Juan Soto to do when he came up with the bases loaded and one out was walk. I just wanted him to walk, kind of like what he said in his comments with the New York Post, and we're going to address that. I don't think it's anything big, but everybody's taking it out of proportion. But Juan Soto, he said it the other day to Mike Puma in his interview saying, listen, I'll take my walks if I have to. I got good guys behind me. I'll pass the baton to Pete Alonso if I have to. I wish he just passed the baton to Pete Alonso because Juan Soto, at first, when I heard people saying he's pressing, I was like, I don't think he's pressing. I think he's just having a bad start to the year. But now, after seeing him in that at-bat, it seems like Juan Soto is pressing. It seems like Juan Soto is trying, specifically that at-bat, to do something big. And in that situation, would it have been lovely for him to do something big? Of course. It would have been awesome for Juan Soto to hit a ball in the gap, drive in, probably 3 runs because Francisco Lindor can score from first on a ball in the gap. Let's be real. So he probably could have, drove in 3 runs with a ball in the gap. And that would have been awesome. But at the same time, we have a red hot Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, who's hitting .365 right now with a .474 on base percentage, a .730 slug percentage. And he went 2 for 4 today he nagged another extra base hit, another RBI on the year for Pete. He's having a great start. So I wish he kind of just worked that walk, got on base. And, it's an RBI right there because his base is loaded. Would have been 3-1. Pete Alonso would have came up with 1 out with the bases loaded. It would have been awesome. So I wish Juan Soto was a little bit more selective in that at-bat. I wish he kind of came through with a walk. But, of course, grounded out into a double play. And we got nothing that inning. But it's not just Juan Soto. It's not just Juan Soto. Like, down the line, outside of Pete Alonso, let's take a look at these numbers. These numbers are the Mets lineup right now. Francisco Lindor is batting .239. Juan Soto is batting .231. I'm going to skip over Pete Alonso because he's batting .365. Jesse Winker is batting .200. Brandon Nimmo, who is batting 5th today, is batting .203. And I'm starting to get a little alarmed with him. Luisangel Acuna, you can't really complain. I mean, he's hitting .263 right now. He came through. He drove in a run today with a nice base knock. Ended up getting a stolen base, putting himself in a position to score the go-ahead run. Luisangel Acuna, I'm going to talk about him more later, but he had another really good game. Tyrone Taylor, I'm sick of Tyrone Taylor. Like, Jose Siri can bat 200 in the high hundreds, and Jose Siri, like he showed us, he can win you a ball game with his base run, and he can win you a ball game with his defense. Tyrone Taylor, as great of a defender he is, he cannot win you a ball game like Jose Siri can. So I'm sick of Tyrone Taylor. I hope Jeff McNeil can somehow play center field, or Acuna can play center field. Maybe a shift over Nimmo, which I'm not really, too high on shifting Nimmo over to center with him being kind of hurt right now. I think it's pretty obvious, and I'd rather him just hit. Would be nice to get Acuna out there. Brett Beatty, he had a productive day at the plate, actually, which I'm kind of pleased to see. In his last 5 at-bats, he has 3 hits, a triple. He went 2 for 4 today. So Brett Beatty, I'm going to talk about him, why we shouldn't give up on him just yet, but he's hitting .175. So, it's definitely not fun for Brett Beatty. Hayden Senger's batting .227. Louis Torrens, I mean, he's having a great start to the year, but he's hitting 275, but we can't expect Louis Torrens to carry the Mets lineup. Like, it's just unfair to expect that from Louis Torrens. So when Francisco Alvarez comes back, undoubtedly he should be the starting catcher every day. I know even I wrote an article it's going to be a tough decision because with the defense that Louis Torrens provides you and what he's doing offensively right now, maybe you kind of give him a slow start, which I'm not opposed to. But at this point, I think we need to see Francisco Alvarez in the everyday lineup right away. I don't care how hot Louis Torrens is. I don't care about how great of a defender he is. This Mets bottom of the order needs a jolt, and Francisco Alvarez can change the game with one swing of the bat. Even if he hits in the low 200s, he has that pop to change the game. Like, if we had Francisco Alvarez come up with 2 runners on, you never know. Even if he comes into that at bat 0 for 3, he could hit a home run and tie the game up. So that's why I think Alvarez coming back should help. McNeil coming back should help. We're going to talk about them a little bit later, but sticking to Juan Soto, I am not worried about Juan Soto, but I am 100% disappointed, and I am kind of worried that there is going to be a large percentage of Mets fans at Citi Field tomorrow when we take on the St. Louis Cardinals for another 3-game series. Hopefully the Mets can win that series and not lose their third. Because it's all about winning series. Like, we can win a ton of games if we win series. Like, that's what they did in 2022. They won a shit ton of series. So hopefully he doesn't get booed, but I do think Juan Soto will get booed. And I think it's going to be for the first time in his career, if I'm not wrong. Like, he didn't get booed when he was with the Padres. Yankee fans were shitting bricks. Like, anytime Juan Soto was slumping, like I said, in July and September, he was slumping. They did not want to boo him because they did not want to lose him. Met fans, we already know we have him. So I am not going to go into tomorrow's game and just expect Juan Soto not to get booed. I don't want him to get booed. I don't think we should boo him because if anything, just like last year, Francisco Lindor was in a slump, and instead of booing him like we have in the past, we actually gave him a standing ovation. And it was weird. It's cliche, but it did get him going. Like, you look at the Phillies a few years ago with Trey Turner. It got him going when they just gave him a standing ovation. 2 cities that love to boo. They love it. Like, they just die for it. They feed it. They feed off it. It's weird how much this city sometimes loves to boo. But let's be real. Francisco Lindor got booed. David Wright got booed. Pete Alonso just last year, he got booed. Aaron Judge got booed in the postseason with the Yankees. Derek Jeter got booed. Mike Piazza got booed. Carlos Beltran got booed. So many superstars in this city have gotten booed. So I am not going to be surprised if Juan Soto gets booed the first time he comes up tomorrow when Met fans look at that scoreboard and see 231 batting average from this $765 million player. Because there is going to be at least 50% of Met fans tomorrow that are going to look at that scoreboard and say, this guy's worth $765 million. With those numbers. And like I said, slumps happen, and Juan Soto is picking the worst time to slump. Because if he came off hot, he could be slumping in June or September, and those numbers would still look good, so he wouldn't get booed. But he is going to get booed tomorrow. I'm just going to put it right there. He's going to get booed tomorrow. I don't want it to happen. I think they're stupid if they boo him because Juan Soto is Juan Soto. Juan Soto will turn it up at some point. And like I said just a few minutes ago, this is the best part about Juan Soto slumping is, one, he's still getting on base. He's got a 367 on base percentage, not Juan Soto on base percentage, but it's still respectable. And 2, he's Juan Soto. He is going to get going. So like last year, I know he was hitting right in front of Judge, but he hit 288 with a 988 OPS. The year before in 2023 with the Padres with no Aaron Judge, by the way, hit 275 with a 929 OPS. 929. Jumped to 2021. 999 OPS with a 313 batting average. So Juan Soto will turn into Juan Soto very soon. I am not worried. I am not panicking. If anything, I am pleased that with Juan Soto slumping, the Mets are still figuring out a way to win games, and that's a lot of credit to Pete Alonso because Pete Alonso, let's jump into the positive, and then we'll hit some more negatives. So we'll talk Pete Alonso, we'll talk Luis Angel Acuna, and then we'll get into these negatives. And pitching's also a positive, but I'm going to end with the pitching. Pete Alonso's hitting 365 with a 474 on base percentage, a 730 slugging percentage. Pete Alonso is scorching hot right now. He's probably I think he's the best he's ever looked. And that's going back to 2019 when he hit over 50 homers. That's going back to 2022 when he hit 271, popped 40 homers, and drove in 131 RBIs, which tied for the Major League with Aaron Judge. So, I mean, what is there not to love about Pete Alonso right now? And this always sparks a conversation. Imagine the Mets didn't re-sign Pete Alonso and we had Mark Vientos as our first baseman right now and Brett Beatty as our everyday third baseman. Imagine the Mets record in that scenario. Just imagine, because Pete Alonso has won us a ton of games. He was, again, the best player in this series. Again, like he just continues to hit extra base hits. That's another great part about Pete Alonso. Yesterday, he hits a double down the right field line. Today, another RBI double. Like, even when he's not hitting home runs, he's still getting extra base hits, and he's putting the ball the other way, which is something he did in 2019 and 2022, where he had, not MVP numbers, but very close to it. He was a silver slugger those years for a reason. So I am very pleased with what Pete Alonso is doing. Do I expect him to hit over 360 all year? Hell freaking no. But I think we need to have a conversation about Pete Alonso potentially hitting 280, 290 plus, maybe even 300, because this is a different Pete Alonso. It is polar bear, adorable snowflake. Yes, it's polar bear weather, icy hot. That it is. Every other Mets player, it seems like they don't like the cold, but Pete Alonso, I mean, he's literally playing like a polar bear. And I always hate the cold excuse too, because like Pete Alonso's going off. Pete Alonso grew up in Florida. Like, it is beautiful out in Florida. So I don't understand the weather stuff, but like you playing the cold. New York's cold. Like, even when I'm coaching my high school team right now, like we're playing in cold games sometimes, and they're like, oh, well, it's a disadvantage we're playing in the cold. Like, no, it's not. The other team is also playing in the same exact weather right now. So deal with it and figure out a way to come away with a win. Luckily, our team did win today, though. There we go. All right, but let's take a look at where Pete Alonso ranks among the hidden leaders in the MLB. Now, I would mention National League sometimes, most of the times, but like he's hidden so well right now that he's MLB leading level. So Aaron Judge, even after today, still like not after today, even after today, he was leading the league in OPS anyways. Aaron Judge, first in OPS with a 1.322 OPS. And we're going to touch on him later. Pete Alonso, right there, right behind him with a 1.204 OPS. Pete Alonso is playing that good where he's in Aaron Judge level right now. Batting average, he's fourth in MLB right now. The only players above him, Brendan Donovan, who I thought the Yankees should have traded for over the offseason. He's hitting 380. Jonathan Aranda hitting 396 with the Tampa Bay Rays, and then Aaron Judge hitting 409, which is absolutely ridiculous. I know it's early in the year, but still, through 18 games to be able to hit 409, that's insane. And then Pete Alonso sitting there at number 4, hitting 365. You look at home runs. Home runs, he's not lead leaguing. There's a lot of guys with 6, which there's about a lot of guys have hit 6 home runs so far, and they're tied for 4th. So that bumps Pete Alonso to the number 15 spot with 5. So he's 1 home run behind Corbin Carroll, Jazz Chisholm, Tommy Edman, Wilmer Flores, Matt Mervis, Shohei Ohtani, Kyle Schwarber, Fernando Tatis, Spencer Torkelson, who the Mets almost traded for, Mike Trout, and James Wood. And I really like the prospect of James Wood so far. And then Aaron Judge at number 2, tied with Cal Raleigh at 7. And then Tyler Soderstrom with 8 home runs for the A's. Not the Las Vegas A's, not the Sacramento A's, not the Oakland A's, just the A's. So, yeah, Pete Alonso's having a great year. And you look at the RBI numbers, Pete Alonso is second in RBIs with 21 RBIs, tied with Aaron Judge for number 2. The only player in MLB with more RBIs than Pete Alonso, I bet you cannot guess this. It is Wilmer Flores, who leads MLB in runs batted in right now with 23. So shout out to Wilmer Flores, a very good friend of the Mets, leading the league in RBIs. But yeah, Pete Alonso, I mean, there's not much more you can say about him. He's having a great start to the year. Without him, the Mets would not be 11-7 right now. Without him, the Mets would not be first place in the National League East. Let's take a look at the Phillies right now because they are right behind us. They were 1 game back headed into today. Phillies lost. They are 10-8, so the Mets still have that one-game advantage over them. And speaking of the NL East, speaking of the Philadelphia Phillies, we get our first taste of our NL East rival, the Philadelphia Phillies, after we hopefully finish off the St. Louis Cardinals with a series victory. We take on the Phillies on Sunday night, Easter Sunday, 7:10 o'clock. So that should be a fun one. 3-game series. We'll probably be facing Zach Wheeler in that series. It looks like he's lined up to go against the Mets. And the Mets should, as of now, we got Griffin Cannon on the hill tomorrow. We have David Peterson pitching Friday, which lines up Kodai Senga for Saturday's contest against the Cardinals in either a rubber game or a chance to sweep, or a chance for us to get swept. And then we'll have Clay Holmes, actually, game 1. Oh, wow, actually, Tyler McGill, it's a 4-game series against the Cardinals. That's my bad. So we'll have Tyler McGill against Philly on Monday night. We'll have Clay Holmes pitch that last game as it looks right now. So, yeah, it's the season is officially underway. Like, it really is. I think now we can start talking about who we're worried about, who we're buying in the hype for. I'm buying in the hype for Pete Alonso because I think he's going to have a great year. I do think Pete Alonso is going to have a great year. I'm buying low on Juan Soto having a slump, but what I am buying high on is Brandon Nimmo struggling. I am worried about Brandon Nimmo right now. You take a look at Brandon Nimmo. Let's take a look at Brandon Nimmo's stats so far since, let's go from back to last year. He really started struggling in June. So let's go Brandon Nimmo stats since June 1st in 2024. And that's including this year where he's not doing too well again. So since June 1st last year, 115 games out of Brandon Nimmo. 20 home runs in those 115 games, which is great. That's a good number. But he's hitting 225. He's hitting 225. And we all know Brandon Nimmo is capable of much better. That's what sucks about Brandon Nimmo struggling. I hate when people say Brandon Nimmo just sucks because I don't think he sucks. Am I worried? Yes. I'm worried because I think Brandon Nimmo is very home run happy over these past now 3 years. I feel like he's just trying to drive the ball out of the ballpark. Him swinging first pitch so far this year. He's swung at a lot of first pitches this year. I'm not too worried about it. Even himself, and you can fact check it too if you really want to, but I already fact check it. He is swinging at strikes when it's the first pitch. And when you swing at the first pitch and there are strikes, it usually means you're going to get on base. You're going to get a base knock. But for Brandon Nimmo so far, it hasn't gone well. So part of me isn't too worried about him swinging first pitch, but part of me is because I miss the old Brandon Nimmo. I don't think we need Brandon Nimmo to hit 25-plus home runs anymore. It was great last year where he hit 23 home runs because the Mets, really their only home run hitters were Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso. So it was nice for Brandon Nimmo to also join the club of 20-plus home runs, and Mark Vientos as well, who hit 27 in 111 games. 2023 was also nice for Brandon Nimmo to hit 24 home runs, but he also hit 274 in 2023. He also got on base 36% of the time in 2023. And then I look at his 2022 numbers where he only hit 16 home runs, but he hit 274. He had a 367 on base percentage. And then he jumped to 2021 and he only played in 92 games and he only hit 8 home runs, but he had a 292 batting average with a 401 on base percentage. So I think I want Brandon Nimmo at this point to go back to the old Brandon Nimmo, change his approach back to his old ways, and just get on base. I don't want a lineup change. I see a lot of people saying maybe we should move Brandon Nimmo up to number 1, have Francisco Lindor hit number 2. I don't want that. I don't want to mix up that top 3. I could see if you want to really get fancy and you want to get, a little ballsy, maybe you have Juan Soto lead off with Pete Alonso hitting behind him and Lindor hitting third. That I'd be okay with. Other than that, I don't want to see any lineup change. If I want to see Brandon Nimmo anywhere in the lineup outside of where he's hitting right now, which is either 4 or 5, it's either in the 6 hole or in the 9 hole. Because I think Brandon Nimmo in the 9 hole would be best for him. He would lose a lot of at-bats this year, but at the same time, he'd have Francisco Lindor hitting right behind him, so there's protection right there for Brandon Nimmo. Because let's be real, Brandon Nimmo doesn't have good protection right now. Brandon Nimmo's protection is either Brett Beatty, Luis Acuna, Hayden Senger, Louis Torrens, sometimes Jesse Winker, sometimes Mark Vientos, who's not hitting the ball well right now. So If we're going to move Brandon Nimmo anywhere, I'd advocate for him to move to the number 9 hole. I think it would really benefit him because, like I said, having Francisco Lindor protect him, I think that would really help him out. Also, our bottom of the order sucks. If Brandon Nimmo produces at the number 9 spot, that's huge. Let's say Brandon Nimmo goes back to his old ways and changes his approach back to his old ways and gets on base more rather than worrying about slugging a home run over the wall. Imagine Brandon Nimmo on base with Francisco Lindor up. And then Lindor gets on base. And then you have Juan Soto up with 2 runners on. You can't pitch around him. You can't load the bases for a guy like Pete Alonso right now. So I think Nimmo in the 9 hole would be the best option if you're going to do any lineup shakeup to get Brandon Nimmo going. But also, we're 18 games in. So I don't think we're going to see a lineup change. If anything, I could see Nimmo going to the 6 hole. And I just don't think Carlos Mendoza would want to do that to Brandon Nimmo unless he's really, really struggling and we're like 30 to 40 games in. But then again, like I said, if I'm making any lineup change right now, it would be lead off Juan Soto, have Pete Alonso hitting the number 2 hole with Francisco Lindor in the number 3 hole, and then Mark Vientos hitting behind Lindor. All right, that's the only lineup change I would make. But Brandon Nimmo, I'm definitely concerned. I cannot lie. And I'm a big Brandon Nimmo supporter. I'm a Brandon Nimmo truther. But I can't lie. Based off last year's numbers, let's go back to it. Brandon Nimmo since June 1st of last year, including this season, he's hitting .225. It is not fun watching Brandon Nimmo step up to the plate right now. It's not. But you got to give him credit, a little bit of credit today for Brandon Nimmo. And over the past few days, Brandon Nimmo did go 1 for 4. But I mean, outside of that, 3 lousy at-bats, and he's just getting out on the first pitch. One guy who's not getting out of the first pitch and is putting together great at-bats, really working the count. And I love when guys work the count, especially against starters, especially young guys. And that one young guy is Luisangel Acuna. Because, one, sneakily, he has the 3rd best batting average on the team right now. He's hitting .263. Luisangel Acuna had a base knock, drove in a run, drove in the tie-in run in the top of the 8th inning. So you love that from a kid in a pressure spot, coming through, doing his job. Then he steals second, gets in position to be the go-ahead run. Unfortunately, Tyrone Taylor has sucked this year. And he hit a laser to Harrison Bader, and Harrison Bader robbed him of a, probably, I would say, just a RBI-based knock at most. But Harrison Bader is Harrison Bader. We all know Harrison Bader, Yankees fans and Mets fans. He is a great defender. He's a scrappy player. And, former Met, killing the Mets, no surprise there. So it sucked. It definitely did. But, I'm like I said, I'm sick of Tyrone Taylor. And this leads me to my next point. When Jeff McNeil comes back, I want Beatty on this team, and I want Acuna on this team. I don't want to call up Jose Azocar. I don't want to call up anybody from AAA because let's be real. If Brett Beatty started the season in AAA, Brett Beatty would be that guy getting called up with Jose Siri going on the IL because Brett Beatty tears it up in the AAA. So, one, Luisangel Acuna, I want him playing more than Brett Beatty. I will start off by saying this, but at the same time, I do not want to give up on Brett Beatty just yet. And I know he sucked for 3 consecutive years, almost 4 now, depending on how long he plays this year. But man, like Brett Beatty won in his last 5 at-bats has shown us life. He had a triple the other day in the lineup today, going 2 for 4. He plays great defense at third base, by the way. I'm not expecting him to rob, Mark Vientos of his spot, but man, wouldn't it be nice if Brett Beatty becomes a player we all think and knew he could be? Because if he does, it changes the whole lineup. For Acuna doesn't have to hit 260 plus. He has shown us he is a impact, valuable player, even when he's not scorching hot at the plate. Because he gets on base with a walk, it turns into a double. His defense at second base is phenomenal. Like I said, he'll eventually be playing center field at some point this season. I really think he will, especially without Jose Siri now. He's played it in the minors. Carlos Mendoza told him just the other day, he's got to be ready to move to center field. But, and like I said, I want him playing over Brett Beatty. But I want to see Brett Beatty in this lineup a little bit more. I want to see him get some more chances because I get it. Brett Beatty has sucked to start the year. But like I said, in his last 2 games now, He's got 3 hits. His last 5 at-bats, he's 3 for 5. And we know what Brett Baty can do. We know what he can do. It's just, can he do it? Can he do it? Because I'm going to read you his minor league numbers. His minor league numbers are absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not saying minor league numbers always mean you're going to be red hot in the majors when you come up. But I mean, these minor league numbers are jaw-dropping. Like how good he has been every time he's been sent down to the minors. Let's just go last year after he got sent down. So last year, he played in Syracuse for 20 or how many games? 62 games last year in Syracuse. He had an 854 OPS, a 504 slugging percentage. He hit 16 home runs in those 62 games, drove in 45 runs. In 2023, at 298, had a 1.013 OPS in 26 games, drove in 31 runs in those 26 games, and hit 10 home runs. Brett Baty is a great hitter. He is a great hitter. I don't think it's him not being able to hit right now. I think it's more of a in your head type of thing. And I watched on Netflix. It's a great documentary if you're a big baseball fan. Clubhouse right now out on Netflix. It's about the Red Sox over the past few years. And Jarren Duran, I'm not saying Brett Baty's going to be Jarren Duran, who's an all-star player now, but Jarren Duran went through a lot in his first 2 years in the bigs, to the point where he actually contemplated suicide. It was getting that bad. Boston fans are way worse than New York fans. They were going into his Instagram messages, basically telling him to kill himself. And that's terrible. You know, you never, like, it's just baseball. If you're telling the player to go kill yourself, if you're one of those guys, hopefully none of anybody watching this show today isn't one of those guys, but don't be that guy. Don't ever be that guy that just don't say that type of stuff. It's just baseball at the end of the day. But Jarren Duran went through the struggles. And it wasn't because Jarren Duran was a bad ball player. He is an insane athlete. And something clicked. He started to gain confidence, and he went off. He became an all-star level player now with the Boston Red Sox. Like I said, I'm not saying I want Brett Baty to be Jarren Duran, although it would be great. But if Brett Baty just gains confidence at the MLB level, I really do think Brett Baty could be a threat in the lineup for the New York Mets this year. And that would be huge. Because we talked about it heading into this year. How deep the Mets lineup could be with Brett Baty finally clicks. And I know he sucked. I know he has had a terrible start to the year. But at the same time, I read the numbers of this New York Mets team at the bottom of the order. Let's take a look after Pete Alonso, after those top 3 guys. Jesse Winker today was in the lineup. He's hitting 200. Brandon Nimmo's hitting 203. Luis Acuña's hitting 263, which is respectable. Tyrone Taylor hitting 163. Hayden Senger, who was in the lineup today, hitting 227. And then Mark Vientos, who will turn up at some point. He's actually had a productive past few games. Mark Vientos is hitting 145. So, listen, it sucks that Brett Baty's not consistently performing, but over these last 2 games, he's shown life. And if he starts to click, that would be great for the Mets. That would be huge. So, and with McNeil coming back, I mean, you got to keep both these guys on the roster. Like I said, I want Acuna getting more days in that lineup, especially with the numbers he's put up, especially with the way he can put you in a position to win a game like he did today, where he drove in the tie-in run in the top of the 8th inning, stole second, and could have been that go-ahead run if Harrison Bader didn't make a ridiculous play. Like, he does that type of – he has so much more intangibles than Brett Baty does, but Brett Baty can also be a pure hitter in this lineup. He needs to hit. He needs to hit 100%. All right, so let's talk about the center field situation and the little injury updates that we have. Francisco Alvarez and Jeff McNeil should be on the Mets probably by the Phillies series that starts this Monday, which is going to be exciting. It's going to be very exciting because, like I said before, we need a guy in the bottom part of the order who's a home run threat, a guy who can change the landscape of a game with one swing of the bat, and that guy is Francisco Alvarez. It is. And, going into this year, we all had high expectations for Francisco Alvarez. The Mets organization, they were expecting a breakout year from Francisco Alvarez. Like, this is a guy who was once the number one prospect in all of MLB. This is a guy in his rookie year in 2023 who hit 25 home runs. So we know Francisco Alvarez could be a threat in the middle of the order at some point in his career. But in the bottom of the order for this team, having a guy with 25 plus home run pop, that's huge. That's huge. So I'm excited for Francisco Alvarez to come back. He had a little bit of a scare yesterday when he got hit in the hand. The same hand he had a broken hamate bone, but he caught all 9 innings today, went 1 for 4. Yesterday he went 1 for 3 with a solo shot. So hopefully when Francisco Alvarez comes back, he can be that player that we all expect him to be. And Alvarez doesn't need to hit 300. Alvarez doesn't even need to hit 280. Alvarez needs to hit 240 plus, let's say an OPS above 770. And we're getting a lot out of a catching. Like, we haven't really he's been our starting catcher past 2 years, but we really haven't gotten insane or really good production out of that spot. Partially due for him with lingering injuries. Like last year, we saw Louis Torrens come up for a little bit. But I mean, as great as Louis Torrens has been hitting the ball right now, I don't expect that to last all year. So when Alvarez comes back, it should help the bottom of the order. Jeff McNeil, I'm very excited to come back. He's getting reps in center field right now. Listen, if the Mets think he can play center field, I'm going to trust him, because the Mets just wouldn't throw Jeff McNeil out in center field if he wasn't good with it, right? Let's be real. Like, they're just trying it out. So everybody who's pissed off about Jeff McNeil getting reps in center field, I think you're kind of bugging out a little bit. Like, that's my point right there. Like, it's not like he's going to play tomorrow's game in center field for the Mets. He's not. He's in a rehab assignment. The Mets want to get fancy. They want to say, hey, maybe we can get some production out of our center field spot offensively with Jeff McNeil in center. And if it works, it works. Then you can keep Luis Acuna at second base, which is huge. You can keep Brandon Nimmo in left field, because I don't want Brandon Nimmo shifting over to center, especially coming off a foot injury and with the way he was hurt all spring training. I don't want Brandon Nimmo in center. So if Jeff McNeil can play center, if the Mets think he can play center field, I think Jeff McNeil can play center field. I don't know why there's some people complaining about it, acting like they know more than the New York Mets. Like, if you really know more about the New York Mets than the New York Mets, then go work for the New York Mets instead of sitting on X and complaining, oh, I don't want Jeff McNeil in center. Like, dude, come on. But Jeff McNeil was the Mets' second hottest hitter outside of Francisco Lindor after the All-Star break last year. Like, his numbers after the All-Star break last year, they were good. Probably the best stretch of his career. After the All-Star break last year, which was July 16th, Jeff McNeil hit 289. He had 37 hits in 41 games, 7 home runs, 20 RBIs, and his OPS. This is why I said he had the best stretch of his career. I'm a big OPS guy. Hitting 923 OPS, which was second on the Mets in the second half, only after Francisco Lindor. Jeff McNeil, he deserved a lot of credit. He didn't get a lot of credit last year, but we got to give him a lot of credit for the turnaround that they had last season. I think it kind of got overshadowed by Jose Iglesias coming in and, just taking over second base, which Jose Iglesias did play great last year, but we can't take away what Jeff McNeil did and how much it impacted the Mets turnaround. So to have a guy like Jeff McNeil hitting the ball like he did in the second half last year, that would be huge in the bottom of the order. It would be huge. And the best part about it is, well, not the best part about it is, because I would love to have Jose Siri on this roster. Like I said, he's a guy who, even though he hits 200, he can still win you a game like he has so far. He's won us 2 games going home on a ground ball back to the pitcher, a sac fly that Pete Alonso hit to shallow right field that nobody has any business tagging up on, but he did, because he's got that type of speed. And his defense is just off the charts too. So it does suck to not have Jose Siri, but it's also, I hate saying it, it sucks, but it's also a blessing in disguise. Kind of like when Jalen Brunson with the Knicks, he got hurt and people were like, you know what? It sucks, but at least we get to see what McCall Bridges could do, what OG Anunoby could do, what can Josh Hart do, what can Miles McBride do? Can Cap be a guy that can carry a team without another star like Jalen Brunson? And we got to see that. Bridges had a few good runs. OG Anunoby really turned it up offensively, but comparing apples to oranges right now. But, Jose Siri isn't Jalen Brunson, but at the same time, now without Jose Siri, it opens up a spot for Luis Acuna to stay on the roster. He's got a guaranteed spot
Brett Beatty, probably going to stay on the roster as well. So we get to see a little bit more of those guys. We get to see probably better offensive production overall. We're losing that element, that speed demon on the base pass, that elite center fielder, but we could get more hits out of this situation. So could be a blessing in disguise. Now, once Jose Siri comes back, like I said, I want him on the roster because he's not like Tyrone Taylor, where if he hits 200, he's not going to help you win a game. Jose Siri can help you win a game. But yeah, so I'm excited for McNeil to come back. Him and Alvarez both should be in the lineup by, I would say, Monday or at definitely some point next week. Jeff McNeil we could see as early as this weekend. Francisco Alvarez has yet to catch 9 innings in back-to-back games, so he still has to do that. That's left off on his checklist. Jeff McNeil has played back-to-back games, so that's why I'm saying McNeil could be back as soon as this weekend, definitely back for Monday against the Phillies. Francisco Alvarez could be back as soon as next Monday against the Phillies or sometime next week. So we'll definitely keep an eye on their rehab assignments, but both of them are performing well in the rehab. They're hitting. Jeff McNeil had another productive day at the plate with Binghamton. So hopefully when he comes up, he can be that player he was in the second half. Hopefully he can. Because you know what? Paul Goldschmidt had a good second half with the Yankees. And look at him now. He's carrying it over to the first half this year so far. Let's talk about this pitching. It sucked. Justin Hageman pitched great today. Like Brazoban had a great open. Jose Budo, it sucked to see him give up those 2 runs, but I'm still confident in Jose Budo. I'm not going to lose confidence in Jose Budo, but at the same time, I could see if you're annoyed with Jose Budo because he has some pretty bad performances as of late. Him complaining to the umpire, a lot of people are kind of pissed off at him about because they scored a run on that. But I don't think Jose Budo is going to throw that guy out anyways, even if he wasn't complaining to the umpire. But overall, this pitching has been great. Let's take a look actually at the team leaders right now in pitching so far throughout this year. I believe the Mets are still number 1 in ERA. I just want to fact check myself. Yep. Mets with a 2.38 team ERA still. They still have yet to give up. Only once they did just yesterday. They've only given up more than 5 runs once. Just once. Through 18 games. Now, do I think at some point they're going to come back down to earth? Of course. But I think their ceiling is this. The Mets pitching ceiling is what they're doing right now. But I don't think their floor is that far off. I really don't. Tyler McGill battled yesterday. He still battled. Only allowed 2 earned runs. He didn't pitch as many innings as we wanted to. Definitely not. I want to see Tyler McGill still pitching to the 6th inning at some point soon. That would be great. Tyler McGill yesterday went 5 innings, only 2 earned runs, 4 runs overall. He did let up 8 hits, but only 2 earned runs. 2 other runs scored on Francisco Lindor error, which he took accountability for, which is nice to see. I'm not mad at you, Francisco Lindor. It's great that you're taking accountability, but you deserve some slack based off what you did last year. But McGill, his numbers are great this year. He's pitching to a 1.40 ERA. Max Kranick, he, for the first time yesterday, gave up his run. He actually gave up 2 earned runs on a home run ball. His ERA rose from a 0.00 to a 1.54. Kranick will be back up. He got sent down, but only for Justin Hageman, who pitched a great game today, and we're going to get into him. And then Danny Young coming in relief yesterday. Danny Young, 2 bad performances, I'd say, but outside of that, Danny Young has been surprising so far. Anytime he comes into a game, I'm definitely worried, but he's making me eat my words for some games. And then Mets bullpen today, they pitched great. Brazoban with the opener got us 3 outs, walked 1 guy, but worked out of it. His ERA this year is a 0.73. Justin Hageman got us 10 outs today, which is more than you could ask for. Only allowed 1 earned run, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts. So, you know what? If we need a spot start again, could be Justin Hageman based off what he did today. Jose Budo does have a 3.27 ERA, which is respectable, but we all know what Jose Budo can be. He can definitely be better than what he did today. Ryan Stanek, who has been a beast since really September of last year, Ryan Stanek, it must have clicked for him because so far now he has pitched 6.1 innings, has yet to allow a run. He's pitching great this year. AJ Minter had a blunder once. Yeah, once so far this year in the game he fell down in, which was a little weird. So far, I mean, AJ Minter has been everything that we've wanted out of him so far. He's got a 2.46 ERA. He's only got one blunder so far this year against Miami in his second appearance where he let up 2 earned runs on 2 hits. But outside of that one game, AJ Minter has been shut down. Reed Garrett, I mean, it sucked that he gave up that walk-off today. Well, not walk-off. Well, yeah, it was a walk-off. But, I mean, at the same time, I blame more the Mets offense because with a runner on second, a base knock is going to score. With a runner on second and no outs, it's been so many times where the Mets have not scored with no outs and a runner on second. Francisco Lindor just the other night hit a double and we got no outs and we can't bring him in. And it's frustrating. But again, this lineup is too good to just think it's going to happen all year. Eventually, they are going to hit with runners in scoring position. So no shade thrown at Reed Garrett this year, who has still yet to actually, like today, he technically allowed a run, but he has yet to allow a real run. Like, let's be real. He has yet to allow a real run. He gave up 1 hit today. 1 hit. 1 batter faced. Game over. Like, that sucks. But he's still got a 0.00 ERA with a 1.05 whip. Edwin Diaz sucked in 2 games this year. He sucked in 2 games, and I alluded to it the other day. Before he had a blow up against Miami and then again against the Athletics, Edwin Diaz didn't walk anybody the entire year. His first 5 games, no walks. He let up some hits, but no walks. The walks is Edwin Diaz's kryptonite. It is Edwin Diaz's kryptonite. Today he walked somebody, but he limited the damage, didn't allow a hit. So 2 strikeouts, a walk, and a nice ground out. Clean inning. So good for Edwin Diaz. It's just when he walks guys, like against the Athletics, when he did walk 2 guys, it led to 2 runs on 1 hit. When he walked 2 guys against Miami, 2 hits, 1 home run, he let up 3 runs. Like, the walks need to be minimized for Edwin Diaz. When he's not walking guys, I'm okay with it. And that's why I'm confident, because Edwin Diaz, like I said, it's not like he's getting hit. He's not getting hit hard. He let up 1 real hit, the home run. Everything else is bloopers, just base knocks. He's not really getting hit hard outside of that 1 home run where he went, fly pop, go catch it, which is kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying, but that's just Edwin Diaz. We got to learn to live with it. But, this bullpen has been phenomenal. The starting pitching, I mean, Clay Holmes, he has looked electric in his past 2 starts. He had 10 strikeouts to start before his last one earlier this week. He had 8 strikeouts through 5 innings in his most recent start. Griffin Cannon, who's going to be on the bump tomorrow, he's been pitching really good. Outside of the 6th inning in his most recent start, he had 5 great innings. And that's Griffin Cannon. Tyler McGill, like I said, he's been pitching great so far. Kodai Senga looks like him, like better than what he did in 2023 so far. And, David Peterson, I love David Peterson. I think the ceiling for David Peterson is extremely high. He was a first-round draft pick. He pitched very well in his rookie year. He pitched very well in 2020 and amazing. He pitched amazing in 2024, the 2.90 ERA. And he pitched really good. So in 2020, his rookie season, he pitched to a 3.44 ERA. Even in 22, he pitched to a 3.83 ERA, sometimes out of the bullpen. Really only 2 bad years for David Peterson. But so far this year, he's 1-1, 17 strikeouts. He's the only guy who's pitched more than, 6 innings actually, at least 6 innings twice so far this year. So I love David Peterson. With him and Kodai Senga, I think we got 2 front-end starters. And then I love how Adorable Snowflake just keeps coming in with these great comments. I mean, the Mets pitching will be better when Montas and Manaea return. Definitely Manaea. Montas, I don't think he's going to be a front-end starter, but he's going to be good as a number 5 or a number 4. That's going to be good to have Frankie Montas in. And to see what the Mets have done now with Severino, with Manaea, with Jose Quintana last year, what they did with Tyler McGill now to start the year, David Peterson, what they did with him since last year, like it makes me believe that when Frankie Montas does come back at some point in the second half, he's going to pitch well. He's going to pitch well. And when Sean Manaea returns, you got Sean Manaea, you got Kodai Senga, and you got David Peterson. Are any of them bona fide aces? No, but they're all definitely number twos. They're all definitely front-end starters. And if one of them just pitches like an ace, then you got an ace, and you got two front-end starters right behind him. And then you got Griffin Cannon, who's been pitching well. Tyler McGill, who really wants to stay on this roster. So if he stays on the roster, it means he's pitching well. You got Brandon Sproat in your back pocket. You got Blake Tidwell in your back pocket. You got Max Kranick, who I think he can make a spot start in your back pocket. You could go with a bullpen game like they did today with Brazoban in your back pocket. So there's 9 starters. Oh, and Justin Hageman now. So there's 10 starters. The Mets pitching depth is insane. It's insane. Do I expect them to pitch to a 2.38 ERA all year? No. But this is their ceiling. Is this their ceiling? Yes. But at the same time, I don't think their floor is that far off from what they're pitching like right now. And even if they do take a step back, just a slight step back, if Juan Soto takes a step up, it's going to offset that. Like, it's just going to offset that. So, all right, we spent a lot of time on the Mets. Wow, 51 minutes. All right, let's talk about the Yankees. We have Aaron Judge in the title. We got to talk about him. All right, the Yanks, man. The Yanks, 11-7, just like the Mets. They are still first place in the AL East. Aaron Judge, man. Aaron Judge. I mean, there's not too much to talk about Aaron Judge because he's so good. 409 batting average now. 519. Like, he is getting on base 52% of the time right now. That is insane. So he has a 52% chance of getting on base every time he steps up to the plate in 2025. Like, anybody who thinks Shohei Ohtani is the better baseball player. Yes, that's true. Shohei Ohtani, offensively, with the stolen bases, you can make that debate that he's better than Aaron Judge. But if we're talking pure hitting, there is nobody better than Aaron Judge. And this also, side note, we didn't talk about it, but Juan Soto calling Aaron Judge the best hitter in the world. Why is that's such a big deal? I'm saying it. We got 117 people watching right now. All of you 117 people that are watching, let's be real. Aaron Judge, is he the best hitter in baseball? Yes, he is. He's hitting 409 right now, and he's getting on base 52% of the time. So now Judge has 6 home runs on the year. 7 home runs actually now. He had 20 RBIs going into today. He now has 21 RBIs. But yeah, I mean, a 3-for-3 day. No surprise there. He basically put the Yankees on his back today for a 4-3 victory over the Kansas City Royals. Jazz Chisholm showing that he does like to play in the warmth. Went 1 for 2 today, but he's still hitting 176. Not worried about Jazz. I am a little worried about Cody Bellinger. I will say that. Not about Jazz, because I think Jazz will get going. But Cody Bellinger had a very down year last year. Last year, he only had 130 games played, but he hit 266 with a 751 OPS. If he puts up those numbers with the Yankees this year, honestly, I think that's a letdown. Like that's a letdown. Is it a respectable bat? Yeah, but you're expecting Cody Bellinger to be an impact bat this year. Paul Goldschmidt, though, if Paul Goldschmidt hits he's going to drop off at some point, like 348, 397 on base percentage, might stay. With 348 batting average, that's not going to happen all year. But if he's in above 280, that's going to basically offset what you potentially might not get out of Cody Bellinger. So I do love the start that Paul Goldschmidt is off today. He went 1 for 3 today, got on base twice. So yeah, Paul Goldschmidt hitting the ball well. Judge carrying this Yankees team. Anthony Volpe went 1 for 4 today with 2 RBIs. He's now hitting 219 and 320 on base percentage, which finally his on base percentage to start a year is above 300. I mean, back-to-back seasons so far in his first 2 years, where he had an on base percentage below 200. And the Yankees still managed to win the AL East even with that. So even if Volpe, let's say he keeps these numbers, let's say he finishes the year with a 219 batting average and a 320 on base percentage, they could still win the division. That's the best part about Anthony Volpe is he doesn't really need a hit because he hasn't hit in the past 2 years and the Yankees have still won. So, I mean, you can say Volpe sucks all you want. I don't think he's that great of a hitter, but he's a great defender. He is a great defender. And if he takes, a step forward this year offensively, he's going to be one of the better shortstops in baseball. I'd say at least a top 10, top 15, maybe even top 10, top 12. Austin Wells, I definitely want to see more out of Austin Wells. That's one thing I'll say. He is hitting 182 right now. He went 0 for 4 today. 182 out of Austin Wells is not like that's unacceptable, especially with the amount of hype all over the offseason. So many people, Austin Wells this, Austin Wells that. He's better than Francisco Alvarez, and he could be better than Francisco Alvarez. We don't know. But to make that a guarantee, now you look stupid. Because Austin Wells, he's having a cold start to this year. And even last year, I mean, 717 OPS, is that game-changing? Is a 229 batting average game-changing? No, it's not. So I don't get why everybody's hyping up Austin Wells so much based off what he did last year, because it wasn't even that great of a year. He had some flashes, but, I mean, Francisco Alvarez had flashes. Brett Beatty had flashes. And, what have they done? They haven't really been impact players so far. So I hate when people just expected Austin Wells to be this impact player, but he definitely needs to get going. Trent Grisham, I mean, he went 0 for 4 today, but he's hitting 308 on the year. They're getting everything they've wanted and more out of Trent Grisham. Jason Dominguez had a very good day at the plate yesterday, came through big time. Today, 3 strikeouts, but I mean, he's going to go through groans. Like he's going to have a lot of growing pains. He's only 22 years old. Just yesterday, he went 3 for 3. He brought up his batting average to 275 yesterday, dropped down to 259. But like I said, the kid's 22 years old. He's going to go through some growing pains. The fact that he had such a great performance yesterday, he gave the Yankees the lead yesterday. Like, Jason Dominguez is going to be a good player. Like, I can say that right now. I think Jason Dominguez will be a good player. Austin Wells, I'm not too sure of. Jason Dominguez, I'm confident in that. Third baseman. I want to talk about this third base dilemma right now with the Yankees because Oswaldo Cabrera isn't great. Oswald Peraza isn't great. One guy who's hitting the crap out of the ball to start the year is Ben Rice. Ben Rice is like, I was buying into the hype since he came up last year because he hit in 30 games last year. He drove in 31 runs, had 12 home runs in AAA. He struggled. He came up scorching hot when he got called up, but across 50 games last year, only finished with a 171 batting average, but he still has the potential. I thought he has the potential to really be an impact player in this Yankees lineup. So far this year, he's played in 16 games. He got the day off today, which I don't know why, but they still managed to scratch by the Royals thanks to Aaron Judge going absolutely off. But so far this year, Ben Rice is hitting 273. He's got a 1.003 OPS. He's got 5 home runs, 7 RBIs. He's scored 12 times. Ben Rice, I think he is going to be a very good player. He's going to be a very, very good player. When Giancarlo Stanton comes back, if he's hitting like he's hitting right now, it's going to be a tough conversation. Like, what do you do at DH? Because you'd rather have Stanton in there, but that means you have to pull Ben Rice out of the lineup. So this is where I come up with this idea. You got to get Ben Rice some reps at third base. He's never played third base in the minors, which is tough. You get him because you don't want to send him down to the minors to just learn third base. You don't want to take that bat off the team. But why not early on in the year? You got a little cushion in the AL East. Maybe give him a game or two, over these next few weeks at third base. Get him some reps in practice at third base because when Stanton does come back, which he will at some point this year, he is swinging the bat. He'll be taking reps in the batting cage very soon. So at some point, probably mid to late year, Giancarlo Stanton should be back. So if Ben Rice can play third, even now, you can get a hot Trent Grisham now in the lineup a little bit more over a guy like Oswald Peraza or Oswaldo Cabrera. So that's why I really think the Yankees should experiment with Ben Rice at third base. If it doesn't work out, if he's making a bunch of errors early on in the game, then you move him to first base. Who knows? Maybe you move him to second. You have Jazz Chisholm play third, but they need to figure out a way for Ben Rice to get every day at bats. Like, he is so good. Like, I mean, you look at his game log. He did go 0 for 5 yesterday, but he went 1 for 3 in game 1 of this series. Against San Francisco, he went 1 for 5. in game 3 of that series. Game 2 against San Francisco, he ran 2 for 4 with a home run, 0 for 2 against San Francisco in game 1 of the series, but he did get on base still that game. Against Detroit in the third and final game of the series, he went 1 for 5 with a home run. So Ben Rice has pop. He gets on base. They need to figure out a way to get him reps at third base, in my opinion, so you can stop putting Oswald Peraza and Oswaldo Cabrera in the lineup. You can start putting Trent Grisham in that lineup, because then you can DH Trent Grisham. You can have Belly, Judge, Dominguez in the outfield. It's just a plethora of options if Ben Rice can start playing third base. I want to talk about this pitching because I don't like Carlos Rodon. I think Carlos Rodon just is not built for New York. I'll say that. I don't even want to spend time on Carlos Rodon. Everybody knows how I feel about Carlos Rodon. I think he's the most overpaid pitcher in baseball right now. But I got to give credit where credit is due. One, Max Fried, undoubtedly the ace of the staff. Had a great game the other day. Clark Schmidt, though, I mean, coming back off an injury, giving you 5.2 innings, only 4 hits allowed, 2 walks today. Only allowed 4 hits, 3 runs he allowed. But Clark Schmidt was a reliable pitcher for the Yankees last year after he came back from the injury. Just last year, he pitched to a 2.85 ERA in 16 starts, went 5-5, had 93 strikeouts and 85.1 innings of work. If you get that Clark Schmidt, that's huge. Max Fried, he's going to be Max Fried. But I want to talk about Will Warren specifically. I am worried about the bullpen of the Yankees. I can't lie. And we'll touch on that next show because we're running out of time today. But Will Warren, I mean, he let up a home run yesterday, but only 2 hits he allowed yesterday. So far through his last 3 starts. Well, really, and his last 3 starts, I think he's pitched really well, actually. So against San Francisco, he goes 5 innings, 2 hits allowed, let up a home run, let up 2 walks, but struck out 6. Against Pittsburgh, he did give up 4 earned runs, but he did strike out 5 and he didn't walk anybody. Then you look at his start against Arizona, who does have the Arizona Diamondbacks. They have a good team. They're 11-7. They're in the NL West, so it kind of sucks that they're in 4th place because the Giants are so good this year. The Dodgers, Padres are having a great year as well. So that's probably, I would say, actually the NL West over the NL East as the best division in baseball, since they don't have like a team like the Miami Marlins or the Washington Nationals. But great Arizona Diamondbacks lineup. He only allowed 1 hit across 5 innings. He did give up 2 earned runs, but that was partially due to 4 walks. So he had 4 walks in his second start. And then his third start, he minimized that. He made a huge adjustment to the point where he only had 1 walk. He let up more hits, but less walks. So that's a good sign right there for a young pitcher who's only 25 years old, where it shows me that, hey, he realized I walked 4 guys last game. I got to limit the walks. And then we had 1 walk. And then against San Francisco, he put 2 and 2 together where he only allowed 2 hits and he only allowed 2 walks. And he came out of there with 2 earned runs after 5 innings. So his numbers don't look great on the year. He does have a 5.14 ERA right now. Or actually, I lied. Yeah, he has a 5.14 ERA. I didn't lie. But yeah, I mean, so far through his first 3 starts, I like the way Will Warren has looked. So good for Will Warren. I think the Yankees might have not a button star. I'm not going to say he's a button star, but I will say I think they have a respectable pitcher at the very least on their hands in Will Warren. All right, I got to wrap up. We're an hour and 3 minutes in. Thank you guys for watching. Whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on X, whether you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube and you want to check out the YouTube page, you want to subscribe, we just got to 400 subscribers. We're trying to set that next goal at 500. So if we can get to 500 because of you, that'd be awesome. All right, check out my articles on Fansided, fansided.com/author/J Nolan. If you want to see some more from me, I do write basically almost every day. Not so much in April this month, just because I'm coaching right now, but we're going to write a little bit more. All right, that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, love you all. I'm out of here. Let's go, Mets. Deuces.